Hello, everyone joining me live and out there in internet land, YouTube land. My name is Alex Levin. This is Rock. Paper and scissors are nearby. The cats, actually, their names are Tom and Max. We're here for a period of mindfulness together today, roughly a half hour. And let's start with, well, first, let me just express gratitude, not only for your joining me, but for Sun and Moon yoga community here in Arlington and Fairfax, Virginia. Please do check out sunandmoonstudio.com for a variety of offerings that support us, a community, and even if you're just virtually anymore, or in person, of practices that help us to claim our birthright to our presence, to be able to be that more and more often. sunandmoonstudio.com. Gather what you need to be able to be comfortable sitting, lying down. There may be some background noise. As I said before I formally started, there can be activity in the beginning. It'll settle. Same with us. So what you need, so I know that I need a cushion to place under my knee. Maybe things you might not, something to be, a wrap to be warm enough, blocks, cushions to sit on. And you can choose to lie down. You can change your position at any time during our practice together today. So let's, as you gather that, I'll have us just come towards stillness. To start to arrive. To draw in the directional threads of our attention and come back to their root right here. We're not really going anywhere, but we're just seeing where we are instead of where our various pieces of our mind take us. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's needed, it's essential, but we lose home base. Just coming to me, sort of like in a baseball game. The hitter starts out at the plate and runs the bases and comes back home, where it's like we're coming back home, circling back. And perhaps there's all kinds of ways this quick centering can happen. It might just land you right quickly, and especially because we have each other's support, even in this virtual portal. It's a helpful tool. Or it might be that there are jaggedy edges, jaggedy sensations inside the heart, gut, and the mind that are pulling you in different directions. But even that, the knowing is never not here. So it might be sort of as there's only really two possibilities of how we are in a very general kind of illustrative sense. We're either aware that we're here, aware that we're aware of awareness as our true state, or we're aware that we're not aware. So if there's flitting about, if there's some discomfort, is it also possible to sense that you're aware of that? So we're either not aware or we're aware, but awareness is always here for us. So let's shift to a little movement. I've usually talked first, but I'm already talking, but I mean about my theme. Let's shift to a movement of, and let me backtrack. Retreat is a good thing often, often. Not always, but more often than you might think. Let's just take a few moments to really anchor our bodies and our awareness through the tools I use: ground, sound, breath. And if you've practiced this with me, you might just slide toward the one that pulls at you first, invites you first. And at this phase, stillness is not our, you need not be totally still. During meditation, I have a preference. I'll talk about that when we get there. So perhaps breath invites you first. And there's nothing to do, just to shine that light of our attention, our awareness on how we're feeling the breath right here and now. Where we're feeling it in our body, what commentary may be happening about it, what emotional tone may be bubbling around it. And that breath, attention to breath may very well lead you right into ground, which I take to be the tangible, solid feel of this body, this vehicle, the solid floor, carpet, tile, concrete underneath my body, and how the body knows that. It's as if the layers of skin and flesh and into the bone, there's a knowing. There's our nervous system is knowing, is knowing, sensing, reporting before any language. But language may quickly come in, and there's not a problem with that as well. So these ground, sound, breath, we separate them out, but they're all present together. And sound, you've got sounds around your sitting. And here I have a fan, I have a cat wrestling going on. and note all the while what's really useful to us in a light, easy, effortless really way that we just become more and more like a receiver, receptacle of what's arriving here. And it's a lot. And yet that awareness that we are can hold it all. It's kind of like empty space. Not exactly. So we can receive and we can tune more and more in. A lot of times we have a preference for tuning in to the mental, cognitive. Some of us dwell more in the emotional feeling. Um, and there might be others. Some of us might be more into the um, text, textures and rhythms. And all of those, of course, are present for all of us. And so, did we go through all ground? Sound can also be anything. Sound is my code word for, not mine alone, but code word for all that seems to come out from out there in here and make that connection. So, in a sense, we've already been practicing movement with our attention, movement, micro movement of our attention. And notice how presence may be available for you now, more palpable, more intimate. And then the movement I have planned for us, and just listen first. You might imagine your body taking this little movement, but don't actually do it. However, as I ask you to do this, you will likely find um, nerves firing, and you might not be able to help stop yourself from doing it, and that's fine. Once you notice, you can then stop. So just imagine your right shoulder pulling just a tiny bit up toward your ear, like a just the initiation of that movement, and then returning where it started. So just imagine a few times and breathe comfortably that the right shoulder pulls a little bit up toward the right ear, just upward toward the sky, and then returns. And then go ahead and do the action. And it could be the tiniest bit. And why the tiniest bit? The tiniest bit and the that just that initiation of it, even though my word in terms of landmarks on the body said shoulder and ear. And you also open on the periphery of your attention so that while you're noticing the shoulder and the direction toward up, what else is happening in the body? Is there some shift in the rib cage? Is there some shift in how the body weight presses against the ground through the pelvis if you're sitting? Or if you're on your back, if you chose that, and your shoulder might just still pull up toward the sky, so it would be just toward your front. It could also go toward the ear, so it would be more on the horizontal axis. And ours is sitting, it's on the vertical. Either way, if you're lying down. And if that is the case, if you're lying on your back, then how the body shifts its pressure points against the ground. And then along with that, as we just continue this little action, if you get bored or distracted or just stop, take a break, come back. The image on my thumbnail today is one of the paths through the park we walk, and I just liked um, this composition of plants in a garden that our neighbor volunteers take care of, and seeing the path and the bench that is there. And it's like this path we're on and the seat we take here and there, the movement and the stillness. Okay, let it go. Just let go if you've been moving. If you've been still, come back to stillness. Stay in stillness. And just see what's arrived here to the receptacle that is our awareness, our attention. That's where we have some choice of that tool we move around. And then there's this layer of all that we know. And then there's what's prior, always prior to everything, and the source of us, awareness. That layer. So I sort of differentiate. People use these in different ways. Attention is that which we can move around, sort of like the periscope or the flashlight beam. Consciousness is that whole realm of what we're aware of, still something that changes and receives, and stuff happens in there. And stuff happens. And awareness is what's prior to all of that. I use that similar with presence, with the absolute. And in that, there we can start to really see things more and more clearly in all these layers, in the consciousness and the attention, and in everything that's divided up, the different full shapes and colors of foliage, the color of the bench. And in your body now, there's something that's likely different than when before we started the shoulder movement. I'm going to stretch my leg out to modify my position, actually bring it back. And let's take the same movement, the right shoulder, and even if like me, you've changed your position, um, everything's changed. But find your center again, sound, breath, ground. All the beasts here have settled around me. And perhaps you might be intrigued by that imagining the movement. There's something real happening there, something tangible happening. So you might be interested, as I'm going to do, just imagine the movement for a few rounds of breath. And you don't need to be syncing this with your breath, but do breathe. Do be aware that you're breathing. Do be conscious that you're breathing. Perhaps when you're imagining, you might even be able to access more of the connectivity inside of the tissue that shifts, the organs, the bones, the muscle, the fascia, and the way the body senses the ground. And then you might just make the slightest movement and you might feel how something inside needs to tighten. Not, I'm pointing to one place in my belly that I sort of feel it tighten, kind of draw in order to allow the up. And there are so many tiny things that happen to make this so. And as you do this a few more times, and you can make the movement larger, that's actually fine. I'm going to do that. What I haven't said yet is that we're looking for what's smooth and what's easy, what's more and more effortless. Just keeping that peripheral aperture of attention open. So you even sense what's happening in the throat as you do this, what's happening in the whole skeleton, even down into the legs and feet, and especially perhaps at the pelvis. And imagine now that this movement is happening. One last thing here is that it's happening by something, by an initiation from the deep belly, the golden ball. Something there initiates this movement. And does that change it? Let it go. Come back to stillness. Receive and notice. If you were to give a few words, like a little haiku, to what your current feeling tone is, that includes both the mind perspective, the heart, the body, what would it be? And I invite you to say it out loud. So you are your own audience. Maybe your pet or pets are your audience. So I'll model that. And so really look for what's as accurate as possible to express and portray what's here for you right now. Slowly, take your time. I'm going to use my hands also. I have a rooted, a strong root and hmm, a lift, a little tickly lift. Tickly throat lift. When you hear yourself report what is there, notice if it resonates clear, if it rings true, and if it doesn't, take a moment to amend it. So mine needs a little amending. The firm root is there. A really robust, firm root, and I'm still not sure. I'm just going to have my hand on my lower throat area that's in an uncertain, little burning tickling in the throat. That feels as accurate as I can get it now. A few more seconds of being your own audience for the expression of your heart, mind, body state right now. And from here, let's segue into a short meditation. It's just going to be 6 minutes. What we've been doing is a sort of meditation as well. Take any repositioning that you need, but it might be that what we've done all the way up to here in these 23 minutes or so has landed you right into a nicely supported seat. Any refinements? I'm still sort of repositioning my hands as I'm sitting different than I usually do. And take just a few moments to not be too fussy, but just arrive. We won't be here that long, so just to your seat. Re-arrive. And for me, this commitment to stillness in our sitting, not a forced, not a hostage situation, just an ease of being. As if dropping into that part of us that is the prior to everything, everything. And when we have this invitation to stillness, that root of our being, our essence, the tendencies to fix, escape, or freeze even become a little more highlighted. And they're all fine. They're all not only fine, they're valuable tools. So if you end up giving in to them, as I'll confess I am myself due to some discomfort in my knee, some of that is wise. And in fact, I think all of it can be wise. The stillness is never not here. We're either aware that we're aware, or we're not aware that we're aware. And this coming home, this receiving awareness as our root, our source prior to everything and ever renewing, only available right here, right now. This is what makes us whole, what heals. And there's a way that we come to know that more and more through this practice. We'll take a few more breaths together. Palms come together at the heart and just take note of what the gesture, what that bodily movement in this particular shape expresses. Adding a bow of the head. It's all here for us right here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for doing this practice as a Cesar Millan. I think I've said this before, the dog trainer, dog whisperer. I love that his aim, he's not, in a sense, he says he's not training dogs, he's training people to be better people and make a better planet. And it's that's what we're trying to do here. And I think it's the impulse in all of us. I sense that. Have a wonderful week, and thank you. Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you all who chime in here. Ciao, ciao.